The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch UK Radio or its affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. You're listening to Paranormal Concept right here on Parasearch UK Radio with your host, Paul Brook.
Good evening and welcome to the Paranormal Concept Show. My name is Kerry Greenaway. Our lovely Paul Brook is away on holiday this week, so I've taken over the studio and I've pulled in a familiar face for you all, one you haven't heard from for a little while. I wonder if you can guess who this is.
Aliens!
And so it starts, is all I can say. Hello, Mr. Manley. How have you been?
Not too bad at all, thank you very much. Been very, very busy with work and stuff, but as you know yourself, shall we let them into a little secret?
If you so desire.
Well, the Dark Mirror Show will be coming back. Only once a month to start with, but it is coming back. And if it gets back to being as popular as it was, then maybe more. But we've all been busy with work and stuff, so we took a bit of a break from it. But I know our fans have missed us, and I know I've missed doing it, and I know Kerry's missed doing it. Also the radio show. So, yes.
So he begins. And it starts.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
No. As by a post you posted on my Facebook page earlier today.
What would you? Are you talking about the witches?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, and the willy tree.
Mm-hmm.
I see. I want to know if that's true because you're a white witch. So I want to know if you know all about the willy show.
White witches definitely don't do that. Hey, Joe. Joe's in the chat room. Yeah. No. White witches definitely wouldn't do that. Witches of old, are doubtful. What fascinating information, though. But the bloke who wrote that book...
Yeah, I know. It was he had something wrong with him.
He had some serious issues, didn't he? We're talking about an article that says that witches allegedly stole men's members and kept them as pets in the Middle Ages.
You're on about the hammer of the witches, aren't you?
It is absolutely hysterical. It has been article that has been shared quite a lot around the Facebook socials, and it all comes down to basically a witch hunting manual that was written by Henrik Kremer.
Yeah, but to be absolutely fair, if you read Malleus Maleficarum, or whatever it's called, however you pronounce it, because, I'm just too tired to bother. Malleus Maleficarum, Tricorum, Satus D, I don't know.
It's
but,
Malleus Maleficarum.
Malleus Maleficarum, there you go, the Hammer of the Witches. When you read it, that bloke, I'm sorry, but I know what that bloke's problem was, and it was got nothing to do with witches. He just seriously needed a shag.
You know what? I think he had serious women issues.
He did. He'd and the willy thing, I reckon he just pulled it off one day and thought, do you know what, I'm going to blame it on a witch.
He just wasn't particularly well endowed.
Well, there is a tale about somebody asking a witch if they can have their willy back, and she said, go up to the nest on the tree and pick whichever one you want. And then there was supposed to have been a bit of a set to and a to-do, because he picked up a big one, which wasn't his, it was a local priest's.
You know what I reckon, though? I have a theory on this.
Go on.
I reckon he went to the local, and I'm going to use the inverted commas, witch, right? You know, the woman in the forest that used to heal.
Ladies of negotiable virtue.
You know, do all the proper, nice, healy things, and said, like, it's disappeared. Where's it gone? And she's gone, well, climb that tree, you'll find a nest full of them, and it's actually a nest full of maggots. And he just found the largest maggot.
Or it could have been in Australia and it was witchetty grubs.
Could have been somewhere like that. Hi, Henry. Henry's in the chat room. If you have any questions for myself or Mark, please ask away in the chat room, and we will do our best to, I say, answer.
Just
you might
go
not
on,
get
go
the
on,
answers
go
you want.
Go on. And before anybody asks, no, I do have my own willy, and it's not in a tree. Okay, just putting that out there.
But that's what I reckon. And she was having a right laugh on him, and because he was small, he picked up the biggest maggot and went, "Oh, I'll have that one, thanks."
And she went, "Oh no, you can't have that one, dear." I said, "Look, a priest. It's Father Ted's that. You can't have that."
Could you imagine? Can't you? It's absolutely ridiculous.
I've just found mine. No, that's Father Dougal's.
I mean, the other part of this one was, right, and I'm going to read this little bit because it was just hysterical. These witches were supposed to take members in large numbers, like 20 or 30 at a time, and shut them up together in a bird's nest. I mean, God, in a bird's nest, right?
But you couldn't have that because nobody's going to go tip to tip. I'm telling you now. No, normal go tip to tip. No chance.
Where they moved, or a box, where they moved about like living creatures.
And have been trying to get back in boxes for years.
Eating oats and other feed, right?
Yeah, it's eating oats. How? I can only think of one place where they could eat that and there's no teeth.
Well, I've got a vision of like a hamster wheel and like, I've just got like, you know what I mean? It conjures up so many mental images, this does. And how people took this, I know this is going back into day in medieval times.
Think of it this way. A pink Mr. Pac-Man with a ball sack.
I just can't, you know what I mean? It's just like a little willy like running around the hamster wheel. You know what I mean? It just conjures up an image. But even though they were very superstitious back in the day and probably not very learned in regards to like books and stuff, doesn't mean to say they were stupid. Surely they had common sense.
Well, I mean, it's like we all know that witches were completely mismaligned, killed, tortured, everything, and they had no need to be because the majority of them weren't even witches, and the ones that were white witches that helped everybody, or hedge witches. And it was just a load of rubbish, like the Spanish Inquisition. It's a load of rubbish. It was just men trying to control people for the same, blaming it on religion, And yeah, the Hammer of Witches is just, when you read it nowadays, it's just, what the hell was it? This guy was on more crack than Harlem, I'm telling you.
Honestly. I mean, again, in the same article, it talks about...
Go on, Kerry, tell about the tree and the nuns.
Oh, I'm so going to be talking about the tree. The historian Johann J. Matalea, I think that's how you'd say his name, who knows? In his article, he says that between the end of the 13th century and the 16th century, the phallus tree was quite a phenomenon. The
what tree?
The phallus tree.
But some of our viewers may not know what that word means, Kerry, so could you make it a bit shorter?
Penis
the what tree? No. I was thinking, no. They might not know what that word means. What about the male chicken tree?
What?
The cock tree.
The cock tree.
There you go, she said it. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it. I Kerry to say that live on the show.
Now you know exactly why we went live a little later.
This isn't the Paranormal Concept Show, is it? This is the Dark Mirror Show back.
Well, this is folklore, though. This is all I say folklore. This is like things that have been recorded in, in ancient manuscripts and stuff. Because a 14th century French manuscript contained 2 images of nuns harvesting penises from the tree and tucking them into their robes. I mean, goodness me.
That woman on the left, where she had it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about that because that's just gross. It's just like, I'm sure if people want to find out, they can read the article that we're referring to. As I say, if you check out my page, Mark tagged me in it earlier. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I've never didn't know that people hid things there, apart from when they were trying to smuggle them through airports. But I didn't think they had airports back then, unless they had a parking place for brooms. I don't know.
Going back to the Malleus Maleficarum, Cranmer writes that all witchcraft comes from carnal lust.
Really?
Which makes women insatiable.
Well, I mean, I know I've been off the air for a while, but I'm back now. But bloody hell.
Wow, oh my God, this is the sort of article that Mark sends to me, is all I can say.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be me if I didn't.
And asks, actually, is this true, Kerry? I don't know.
I had to tag you in it. I had to tag you with it.
I seriously doubt it. I do know that the flying on broomsticks thing was actually an ointment that was made of hallucinogenic herbs and spices, and it got made into like a salve. And what they used to do was put that on the end of their broomstick, and then...
Oh, God, yes. They used to turn it into a summer shop.
Yeah, they used to, and that's where the flying on broomsticks...
What you didn't see, ladies and gentlemen, was Kerry making hand gestures looking like she was churning some butter.
Trying to describe it in a nice way.
They used to put joy jelly on the end of their broomsticks and have fun.
And that's where flying on a broomstick comes from. I know that.
You might see Danny Ogg running around the back garden with one of them and just occasionally go, oh!
That was there. And then they'd go into a ritual, so it would be like, dancing around fires, spaced out their heads on this hallucinogenic...
a lot of sex magic.
Vaginally digested salve that they'd made.
Finally digested sound. Are we talking about what sounds like an army of vaginas marching through mud? Is that what you're on about?
Salve, not sound.
No, I meant Pink Mrs. Pac-Man going...
I know, it's crazy. It is, it's crazy. But that is allegedly where that myth comes from, of flying on broomsticks. Because they were flying, but in a completely different way.
Well,
they weren't
do you know what?
Flying around the sky on their broomsticks.
You'd know. This is that's going to be the thing for the next show, myths and legends. But I know we've done mythical animals and stuff. But I mean, I never knew. Did you, ladies and gentlemen? Did you out there in listening land? Did you know that the flying broomstick concept comes from somebody just fancying a bit?
It's not just fancying a bit. It's hallucinogenic. It's a way of getting that into your system quicker, and obviously it didn't taste very good, otherwise they would have eaten it.
I know what we could do. I found a much better way to take this. We can there you go.
Oh God, he's got me snorting already. Anyway, right, so Mark, I want to take you back into
Sea cucumbers.
No, I want to, right, when we was doing the Dark Mirror.
Sorry, hang on, hold up. People use hallucinogenic stuff in magic so they get to see their spirit ancestors or their spirit animals. So are you telling me that if they're putting out on the end of their...
It was that
pains. Is basically... that.
Sorry, Kev Kara's come into the chat room. The para-rationalise is in the chat room, so we've got to behave now. Because, he'll debunk everything we say.
I'm going to behave. So basically, their spirit animals were sea cucumbers. Or big snakes.
No. Excuse me. Right, now...
Anyway.
Oh, gosh. Now, where was I going with that thought pattern? Oh, see, I've been put off now. I've gone all hot and flustered. So when we was doing the Dark Mirror show, tell me what a couple of your favourite shows were.
Oh, blimey.
Oh, blimey, got to cast your mind back now, love.
I must admit, one of the very first ones we did, all about the torture, different types of torture, I really enjoyed that one.
I have to say, the amount of adjectives, I think, you came up for various parts of the body, because that was pretty gross. There was a lot of gross things in that show.
Oh, God, they were terrible. The things that humans do to each other and still do to each other. Just disgusting. But back then, in the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, they were awful. I know it's called Dark Ages.
Inventive.
Yeah, very inventive. Some of those things have been turned into 50 Shades of Grey, for God's sake,
You know what, though? There's a shop near me who actually has... the one that they used if a woman was talking too much or she gossiped or something, and it was like a cradle.
Skull's Bridal.
That's
Skull's
it.
Bridal. Yeah,
that one. Right. There's a shop that actually has one of those in it, and he's actually got it on top of a mummy's mannequin head, demonstrating how it got used. This shop is really weird. I would just like to say.
I was just about to say, how do you know?
It's called Curiosities of the Fifth Corner. And he specialises in weird and wonderful, let's put it that way, very weird and wonderful things in there. He has human skulls for sale and bad taxidermy and pickled things. And
is that where the willies come from? It's not pickled willies, it's called gherkins.
No, know. It's like a really weird shot. But if you're into that kind of way of working, then that is the place to go. Basically, it does have some really weird stuff. It's great. It's great. It's a very interesting shot. But he's been called out by lots of religious people for having this shop. But it's well used, and he runs workshops and stuff, and he's got a massive following.
So basically, it's a magical supplies shop. It like Hogwarts approved.
Not Hogwarts approved. Definitely not Hogwarts.
I don't know. We all know Dumbledore liked a bit of a tickle, you know.
I would say that it was. This is more the dark side, the darker side of things. That's where I got my bones from. My bones, not my bones. Obviously.
I'm sorry, Kerry. You've been boned. What?
You know the bones I've got that I've been working with, like the thigh bone. I've got a real human thigh bone and a couple of rib bones, real human ones that I've been working with, and this makes me sound like a right psycho, don't it?
So this thing about willies is true then. So you've got a packet of them put away somewhere.
No, I haven't.
In a nest in your tree.
Yeah, okay, my secrets are out now. Oh my God. But they're all tiny because they look like maggots.
So would you if you'd been left outside in the cold?
Oh my goodness me. Oh, so,
yes,
okay.
The torture show.
I really like, I'll tell you which one. So you like the torture. I really liked the one that we did on, after watching Stranger Things. We looked into that a little bit more, and we found out about Camp Hero. And the
that's
conspiracy,
right.
conspiracy theories that surrounded Camp Hero, which obviously the Netflix program was inspired by. Right, really, that was absolutely fascinating. But how much of that's true, we'll never know.
Well,
but it's all a good tale, isn't it? That's what the thing is about conspiracy theories. They're a good tale.
See, although I do believe in the UFO thing, and I do believe in different dimensions, parallel dimensions, space travel, and not being the only planet with intelligent life on it. Mind you, looking at somebody in America's hairdo, I don't know if I could call that intelligent life. But well, I was only on about Mr. Nylon hair. You know, but I do think there are other things out there. I mean, I and millions of other people have seen things and this, that, and the other. But most conspiracy theories, I strongly suspect there may be a grain of truth in them, but some of them are so out there, it's just unbelievable. Remember when we did one, and one of the conspiracy theories was this planet is actually a prison planet for aliens, and the Bigfoot the Bigfoot and Sasquatch sightings that people see are actually prisoners. Yeah, that was just really.
Bat crazy is all I'm saying on that one. Some of them, though, there's a grain of truth. I think it's a hugely twisted grain of truth.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the ufology things are embraced by governmental things to cover up things that aren't at all UFO. You know what I mean? Like, although if you want to look at the meaning of UFO, it's just unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean it's space, like an alien spacecraft from outer space has come down. You know what I mean?
You've also got you got USOs as well.
Which are the C ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I just think we don't get to see half of what's being developed in the military and government agencies and stuff like that. And I'll be honest with you guys, I don't want to know, because I'll probably be horrified and disgusted with what's being developed. But at the end of the day, I think they've got to test them somehow. And if they test them and it gets seen, I just remember going back quite a few years now, when the Aurora was being tested.
Are you talking the 1800s now?
No, I'm not going back that far. The Aurora.
Oh no, I was just taking a mickey out of yours and my age. That was all.
I'm not that much older than you.
No, I think you're only about 3 years older.
So you can't really say that.
No, what are you on about? I was born when they said trouble up to Mill, and it was like, Mill? I remember when I lived in Olin Roll.
Anyway, back to the Aurora. When that was being tested, it was a triangular-shaped plane. It looked like nothing it had been before. You know what I mean? It had a sonic boom that followed the air. So after it went, and there was a sonic boom and stuff like that. So people misrepresented that as an alien spacecraft when it wasn't. It was purely military. So I just think that a lot of what is seen these days is just developing technology that is being misrepresented as something that it isn't.
Well,
but then you know my thoughts on this. I'm hugely sceptical of the whole ufology thing, but I've never experienced something like that.
I was always sceptical until I saw stuff myself, and then after that, I realised I wasn't drunk and I wasn't high, so it had to be something else. And I certainly hadn't been riding around on a broomstick rubbing some cream on. But I don't believe in the whole of the cosmos. We are the only planet with intelligent life, and I don't believe that one little bit. But there's been lots and lots of new stuff, and ever since CERN started messing about with the weather and things like that, as you know yourself, there's been more and more things happening with the weather, more and more bizarre weather patterns, cloud formations, this, that, and the other. And there's been more and more stuff seen by amateur astronomers, not just the big ones on top of the mountains in Hawaii and stuff, but amateur astrologers. I can't even speak. Astronomers have videoed and photographed things on the moon, flying across the moon, driving across the moon, build so-called buildings. A lot of it, I think, is pareidolia, but some of it, especially the stuff that's moving and zipping across, you can't put it down to debris. It can't be put down to dust, and it can't be put down to a ladybird going across his lens. You know.
Or could it be down to actual malfunction within the camera?
No, because some of the stuff, when you look at it, you can see it's not. It comes like around the moon and stuff like that. Some of it, I think, is.
Yeah, but I'm gonna bring the orb thing in here. Though they look like they're further away, but it's been proved that it's only in a short space of gap between the lens and the thing. But you can't judge distance.
I know, but one of them, if you look at, see, I'm like you. When it comes to a lot of the UFO sightings, I'll look at it and go, oh no, that's a bin liner blowing in the breeze, or this, that, and the other. And you can see it is, but there's just the odd few that you look at and you're like, nah, that is something different.
I disagree.
Well, you don't believe in the aliens thing anyway, do you?
No, I don't. I find it a step too far. I just don't believe they bother coming all the way from outer space into the atmosphere to bloody abduct somebody and do tests. Just don't think it's worth it.
Well, if you look into the...
What's the point? Do you know what I mean?
If you look into
How many times do they want to abduct people, is the question. How many times, how many people across the globe reckon they've been abducted? It's like so many people, right?
But it also depends on how many people like to be probed.
We've had this argument many, many times, haven't we? We have had this argument so many times. I just don't see the point. But
do you remember my theory?
What do I know, eh?
Do you remember my theory that I put out there, and I still hold true to it? All the holy books have all the same things happen, just explained differently at the exact same timeline.
Well, this is true. The ancient alien theory is quite a big thing, isn't it? We spoke to...
so some of the willies in that tree.
Oh, God. But again, something's twisted. Somewhere along the line, somebody has twisted something and put it out there as folklore. We look at it now with modern eyes and we go, what? But with the ancient alien thing, there is a lot of things that are a bit weird and unexplainable. But, wouldn't we collect specimens if we found a planet with... Yeah, we would collect specimens, but not to the extent that people have... Surely once you've got one specimen or two specimens or even three
male
or four...
and a female.
Yeah,
male
or even 3 or 4 specimens, that would sort of suffice for your study. Surely that would suffice rather than the thousands and thousands of people that reckon they've been abducted, And the slashing of the animal thing, the
cattle mutilations.
Yeah, I mean, how many cattle want to get mutilated? I mean, really? I find it a bit unbelievable. I think even when we were exploring new lands, new forests and new, like the jungles of the Amazon and stuff like that. Yeah, we took specimens, but we didn't take every single one maybe not every single one because that would be a bit silly, but we didn't take thousands of each specimen, did we? We took maybe a few, but not thousands and thousands, which is what the abduction situation is.
You've just given me another theory.
Oh, God.
Right, bear with me on this one, see where it's going. You've got cattle mutilations now.
Yeah.
But back in the 13th, 14th, 15th century, perhaps they didn't do cattle mutilations. Perhaps they appeared to us as gods because they had all this technology that we couldn't explain. And then some of these who laid with the ladies, abducted men, cut their willies off, and put them in nests in trees, and said, "There you go, you can be a witch now."
Oh my God. It's time.
There
we go.
and that's
There's
your
a
cattle
conspiracy.
mutilation.
There's a conspiracy theory for you.
It's willy mutilation.
Okay, so Kevin said, what if you look at it this way? Sorry, I'll read it properly. But if you look at it the way we look at species, they may look at different people as an individual species. Well, we are all very unique, aren't we? Nobody is exactly the same.
Exactly. I mean, look at me. There's nobody like me.
Well, this is true.
Yeah. I reckon I've got alien DNA in me somewhere, so...
Well, I suppose, if you want to look at it that way, but I think that's a bit of a stretch.
There's too many jokes there. I'm not going to do it.
I just find it a little hard to believe. Is all.
Hey, and then again, she's off with finding it hard.
And this is the problem I have with every. When we talked about the Phoenix Lights, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. I was looking at one of the videos today because, as you know, I listen to Security Team 10 a lot on YouTube, and I really like the guy, and Mr. MBB 333 as well. But one of the videos that was up on Security Team 10 was there's been a rash of sightings all around the world, but most prolifically North Seaboard America. And I was looking at some of them, and one of them on these videos, which I think was a Tunisian one, was clearly flares that had been dropped by either a plane or a helicopter, because you could even see the light reflecting off the parachute as it was coming down, and it people going, "Oh, what these strange orbs of light? What's this? What's that?" And it was that's what I mean about some of them. You can tell straight away, and it's like, it's flares. What are you trying to say it's aliens for, you daft bugger?
I mean, I have to say, I will say about one experience I had, and I don't for a second believe this was a UFO at all. I was walking home from a friend. I had the boys with me. One was in a pram, and it was like dusk. So it's always a bit eerie at dusk anyway, isn't it? It feels very, energy-wise, it feels very...
Dusk. Anybody dusk? No.
It was dusky. And it was very quiet. Nobody was around. It was a very calm night. Very still, no massive weather conditions, and there was this ball of flame, is all I can say. It was really large, and it went across thing, and I actually stopped to watch it, and it was quite fast moving. It definitely wasn't the sun, everybody, as some people have suggested to me. It was moving, but I wasn't that drunk because I had the.
Maybe it was a meteor or something skimming the atmosphere.
No, you know what that was?
Go on.
It was one of those Chinese lanterns that It was one of those Chinese lanterns where the actual lantern itself was on fire rather than it just being a lit up lantern. Yeah. And that's what that was. But when I first saw that, I stood there for a few minutes going, I wonder what that is. That's a bit weird. But that's exactly what that was. And that seemed a lot larger than Chinese lantern. But we know how distance is very... it's difficult to perceive distance, isn't it, when you're looking up in the sky?
Yeah. But it's like stuff I've seen has normally been at night, and a lot of it's been when I've been sea fishing, because when you go beach casting, basically you just sit there, you get the beers out, you put the rods out, and no, nobody was drunk. And you sit there looking at the sky a lot of the time, and it's not just myself, whole groups of us. We've seen all these weird and wonderful lights, and it's not been shooting stars, because shooting stars don't turn around and go off in the other direction. But we're talking sort of, you can see these lights up in the stratosphere, or maybe even the ionosphere, I don't know, but way, way up high, and they're doing impossible manoeuvres. Not things that mainstream science and physics would be able to explain,
Well, I don't know what they are, but I just think there must be a logical explanation for those.
Yeah, aliens.
I mean, there's... of course, that's the logical explanation, everybody. It's aliens, of course, obviously.
Yeah, there you
go. They're playing around in our atmosphere with their little pretty lights. Ooh, I know, there's some people fishing. Let's go freak them out. Yeah, no. Hey, let's zoom this way. Let's zoom that way. Woohoo! Let's do it 24. I just,
Ladies and gentlemen, this coming from the Crystal Whisperer. Go on.
I knew you was going to throw that one in my face.
Well.
But there is, see, this is where my scepticism comes from, I think, because I have a few people on the ufology world, obviously, on the socials, around and about on the socials, And there's a couple that go, oh, I've had a telepathic message, they're coming tonight.
Oh, no, they're nut jobs, those ones. Sorry, they are.
And then they post the next day this really grainy, awful piece
Yeah.
of video footage that could be
Yeah.
anything. And you just go, oh, I don't get it. I don't get it. Is it for attention? But everybody is commenting, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's because you've got the people like me who believe, but then you've got people who I want to believe, you know?
Why
I believe
would you want to believe in an alien coming down to abduct you?
Because I think aliens pretty much, as he was saying in the chat room there, are pretty much like us. They're going to look on something else that's different to them as a species. They're going to want to collect it, test it, this, that, and the other. But I'm not like these other ones who see every single thing in the sky and go, "Oh my God!" You know, it helps to have a rational brain and not just think that every single thing you see is either a ghost or an alien or this, that, and the other. But you know what I mean? Between you've got the believers, the non-believers, and the I want to believe. You know?
No, that's very true. You do see it a lot in the paranormal world, like the people that just want to blindly,
like orbs.
It's like blind faith, isn't it? Belief.
Yeah.
That whatever is they have no knowledge about is a ghost or a spirit or whatever. And then you've got the people that are educated and know tech and know a little bit more, go, well, obviously we've had that explained. We know that's been researched, that's been looked at from a scientific perspective, and we can explain it. And then when you try and explain it to somebody who wants to believe in blind faith, you then get shot down in flames and, you know, oh yeah, but you can only explain like 99% of them. There's still that 1% that it's this. And, you know, I find that lack of wanting to know, wanting to find out, that apathy, I think. Is it apathy?
Apathetic.
But then people could call me apathetic in regards to the ufology thing. And they wouldn't be lying.
No.
Because they wouldn't be lying. But then having said that, we have done shows on Roswell. We have done shows on Travis Walton case, Fire in the Sky. We have done...
That's right, yeah.
You know, we have done shows on, from a psychological perspective of the abduction thing, and looked at the progression from sleep paralysis and the old hag syndrome right through to how that syndrome has sort of changed into alien abduction. We have looked at things from a different angle to that.
I think a lot of abductions is something going on with the government experimenting and, you know, just giving somebody drugs and saying, oh, you've been abducted by aliens. And then when they actually come to, they're like, my God, I was abducted by aliens, you know? But there could be the odd one that's true.
But I do find, I'll tell you one tiny aspect, I like this aspect of that world. I do find this part of it quite fascinating, is when they find something tiny that's supposed to have been implanted.
Yeah, and there's actual physical evidence of that as well.
That side of it I find interesting. I wouldn't say fascinating because I don't know, I haven't really looked into it that deeply, but I do find that side of it because there is something physical that you could look at from a more scientific perspective.
Well, some of them are being tested, haven't they? And there's a couple of them which have got metals in them that they have no clue what it is. It's some sort of alloy, but it's nothing that you find on Earth. Or some of them are metals that are so rare you only find them in one place on one meteorite on Earth, you know?
But the other side to that is you've got to look at how fast technology has progressed over the past, 50 years. Yeah, if not maybe a shorter space of time. You've only got to look at mobile phones, you know, going back to the 80s through to now what we use now. I mean, it's absolutely astonishing. And how fast that's moved. Take it a step further. Could it be governments that are actually developing this technology to implant?
Well, look at all those reports of people in US embassies in various countries, especially China, who've suddenly been ill, and there's talk of them being an audio weapon being used on them, and it's being tested.
Yeah, there are those kind of things being looked at, aren't there, or said. Do you remember that we were talking about spontaneous human combustion? We did a show on spontaneous human combustion. And there was a village, was it in, oh gosh, now I've got to have to rack my memory brains on this one. Wasn't it in Spain?
South America.
Oh, South America. I speak Spanish, so I was near.
How does that? Yes, they speak Spanish, but it's slightly different.
I know, it's slightly different. You know me and my geography, everybody. It hasn't got any better.
Alpaca Mountains, yes, we know.
So, this village was having spontaneous fires. Not people,
right.
but like just fires breaking out. Electrical
Everywhere.
Equipment it was like an electromagnetic pulses were wiping out equipment, weren't they?
They turned off all the electricity in the whole village to see if it was electrical, and there were still fires bursting out. People's mattresses would just go on fire, and
it was
all I
really
can say
strange.
is they had a hot night. But you know, it was bizarre, and it's still not been explained to this day.
No, and that got looked into by all sorts of people, didn't they?
God, yeah. I mean, lots of famous people have investigated that one. And there's also in the same area, there was that UFO that crashed into the top of a mountain, and the military went to go and look at it, and nobody else was allowed to go near there, and it was kept quiet. But I've seen the footage of that, and that was food for thought.
I think it does make you think. I think that's something it does do. It gives you food for thought, but how much seriousness you can sort of like take about it, I don't know.
I think a lot of it is experimental stuff that the government are doing, and rather than say, oh, it was this, it was that, they'll just make people think it was aliens. But I do think there's the odd thing that possibly isn't from this world.
Yeah.
Look at Justin Bieber.
Poor old Justin, you get him every time.
Sorry, Canada, but you have my sympathies.
I like
anyway.
Justin Bieber, what are you talking about? I'm a believer.
You're a believer, but you're not a believer. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Believes in Justin Bieber, but not aliens.
I know, how strange is that? Not my bag, baby, is all I'm saying. Oh, dear.
Another show I liked was the vampire one. Andy Twafford-Nan loved that.
Yeah, you did like the Tuatha-De-Danann, didn't you?
Yeah, because I think there's a grain of truth behind that.
Well, the vampire one we covered like sort of twice because we spoke to.
Yeah, him. Oh, Thingy Bob, the book. Nice guy. Can't remember his name. Yeah.
Really, really lovely. He does the Goblin universe.
Yeah.
Ronald Murphy.
That's it,
Murphy.
yeah.
Oh God, how could I forget Ronald? Ronald Murphy. We spoke to Ronald Murphy about vampires, and he talked to us about going right back through Lilith and where that came from, all the way through to modern day mythologies and things like
Babylonian gods, wasn't it?
Yeah, Oh, I don't remember that bit.
Yeah, Babylonian and Sumerian gods. The Sumerian gods.
I know it's
Something
Lilith. I know we talked about Lilith, and he talked about a modern day case as well that was in somewhere in America.
No, that was one over here, and it was down in it was either Portsmouth or Poole. It was one of the places. I think it was Portsmouth. Bloke who that was the werewolf one. That was it was the mental
Southend werewolf you're talking about.
Southend werewolf. I'm looking at her. What are you talking about?
Very hairless. Thank you very much. Love you.
No, I just saw you flashing your norks on the camera there, so I thought they're a little bit hairy there.
I had crumbs. Sorry, I had crumbs.
You had crumbs.
It was irritating.
In your cleavage.
It was irritating.
You shuffle them about, love. I'll continue talking, you know.
Sorry, everybody. I had a bit of crumb going on. Crummage.
Crummage.
So, and then we did myths and legends of vampires, didn't we? Getting it back onto topic.
Yeah. Well, even with the Tuatha-De-Danann and the Irish legends, you've got legends of vampires in amongst them, including a vampire dwarf. I'm not going to ask what he bites.
Yes, we had a great hilarity about the vampire dwarf, didn't we?
Yeah. Tie that in with your witches and the willy trees. Go on.
Oh my God, it's just I have to say the Irish mythology we covered in different ways, didn't we? We looked at it in different ways. We did one show on the Tuatha-De-Danann, we did Irish myths and legends, and I have to say they have some. I just remember the was it the Selkie that has seaweed in her hair and was supposed to seduce men, and then the male version was like had seaweed in his hair, and I turned around and said no woman would ever fall for that. She'd turn around and go, no, I don't think so, mate. You get that seaweed out your hair, you're a bit dirty.
Well, I don't know. Have you seen something about Mary?
Yeah, obviously, but that's
Hair gel. Mm.
yeah, but that was like men don't care, do they?
Well, it begins with seed, doesn't it?
What planet?
See,
Which language do you speak?
seaweed. Sea. Mm.
I know what you're talking about, guys.
Oh,
You have
which is
to
hard
spell
work.
it out sometimes, don't you? Jeez. So what else? What else did you like about the Dark Mirror show? Apart from making
The whole-
me laugh so much.
I like the fact that when we do our show, it's not like a regular show. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of great shows out there, but there's also a hell of a lot of boring shows out there where people speak and
Ooh, that's a
say,
bit harsh.
No. I'm not talking about our stuff. I'm not talking about Parasearch. I'm just talking in general. When you look at chat shows or listen to chat shows, a lot of them are downright boring because they don't laugh. They don't just have fun with it, and they, and the people obviously don't connect. They don't click. They don't know each other. With us, when we've known each other far too long, we're in a paranormal team together. We've got drunk together and this, that, and the other, and
Yeah, quite a lot.
quite a lot. Yeah. But and we bounce really well off each other. And we have fun. The whole thing about it is we have fun when we do the show, and that's what's missing in a lot of shows.
Not on Parasearch, obviously. I would just like to say.
I did say not on Parasearch, but in general, people just don't enjoy themselves because they haven't got that connection.
I don't listen to other shows.
And looks at her in Chinese, and it's the fact that although we have our own personal beliefs, we don't, or we'll take the mickey out of each other a lot, but we don't about our own beliefs and stuff. And even with our own beliefs, we can still see the good points, bad points, and go, well, yeah, actually, they may have been drunk when they did that, So,
yeah, I mean, I have to say that is one thing. I mean, one thing people don't realise about myself and Mark is we've known each other for quite a long time, and when we get together, it is just the same, and we will have heated discussions and then end up rolling on the floor laughing, about a certain concept. And we do come from very different perspectives, don't we? And he tells me to get off my high horse quite often. Yeah.
Well, I mean, mine's the technology and dimensions and aliens and all that, and onion theories and things like that, and especially the Mandela effect.
Oh God, that is just really.
There's just stupid little things that have been pointed out that I remember totally different. And lots of people remember the same things as being totally different. But it's only people of a certain age that remember these things different,
Yeah, but that's because the marketing companies remarket things. So we remember them from when they first got marketed, and then the marketing thing came along, and it's basically it's so recognisable, it's so similar, but they've changed just a small part. The Coca-Cola advert symbol, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's a pure example. When you've
I just saw you waving your hand in the air.
I'm waving my thumb. I'm trying to find the right word for it. But when you look at the evolution of the marketing over that, the changes are very subtle, but they're there, and it's nothing to do with the Mandela effect. It's just a marketing thing.
No, I don't mean things like that. But I mean, mind you, having said that, on a completely different topic, I watched Michael Jackson's first ever Pepsi commercial last night, and I was like, oh my God, throwback to the 80s. Anyway, I digress.
You do digress. Massive time for Pepsi back in that day and age, the 1980s.
I think I know what's your problem. You've been using some very
hallucinogenic
well,
drugs.
I'm wondering what you're smoking. But you've been using a lot of trigger words like big and large and small and hard and moist, and I'm wondering. I think
zip.
Yes, that was one of the best ones. Zip. Mm.
The thing is, I say these things completely innocently. I would just like to say, very, very innocently. Just
You're not innocent at all.
And he twists it to make it sound dirty.
That's me. I mean, hello. I've only got to look like at a bunch of sausages and go, oh, look, it's Kerry's willy tree. But,
Oh, for God's sakes. So anyway, going back to the Dark Mirror, because, we aren't going to... What are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? Are we going to do new topics, or are we going to still carry on with a bit of eclectic plethora of topics of all
you swallowed
areas Oh, I've swallowed a thesaurus.
Swallowed a what?
A thesaurus.
Ah,
It is a
is that
thesaurus,
one of those?
isn't it?
Yeah, Thesaurus Rex.
Yeah.
Big teeth, lots of words. Yeah.
That's the one, yeah. Oh, no, I've been to the SPR recently, darling, you know. I'm now very highbrow. I nearly had a meltdown when I saw the library, I have to say.
Anyway, I think revisit a few topics, because most of our shows we only ever got about a quarter of the research out, and the rest of it was all banter and going completely off topic, which is the whole idea of the Dark Mirror show.
Yeah, that's true. But then having said that, I mean, I've been surprised when I've listened back to a couple of the old shows that how much information we did still pack into it. I mean, when we was looking at the number 13, we looked at the number 13, didn't we? Can you remember what that's called?
No. Oh,
Triskaidekaphobia.
Yeah.
Triskaidekaphobia?
Let me look it up quickly.
No, don't you get on your Google. When we looked into that on your Google.
Hey,
You know,
I'm up this weekend to see you.
I need Yahoo instead. And there are many other good search engines out there, I would just like to say. But no, seriously, when we looked at the number 13 and tried to break that down, there were so many myths and legends surrounding that, wasn't there?
Paraskavidicatriophobia or Frigatriskaidekaphobia. I'm not saying that again.
That's the one.
Frigatrigger, yeah.
Or we just had a nightmare saying that on the night.
Actually, to be absolutely honest, one of the things I loved about doing the shows was when I did all the different accents and voices, and B, when you'd read something out and then go, Mark, what's this word?
Yeah, I was like, you fill the words in for me because they're too long, can't say them. But
because you don't. Well, there'd be a word like anti-disestablishmentarianism, and you would turn around and say, fish. So, you know.
We'll just, like Friday the 13th, we stopped using the long term, didn't we, for it?
Yeah,
I just say Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But do you remember the one about the, was it the Hilton? I don't think it was. I think it was the other one.
American hotels that don't have 13 floors and number 13 rooms.
No, the one with Churchill. At the dinner table, you never have 13 at the dinner table.
Oh, that's right, yes.
They always put the cat.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the cat was called?
No, I don't, but I thought that was quite cool.
And Winston Churchill used to go, didn't he? And he always used to book a table for 13 just so the cat used to get sat at the table.
Yeah, which I thought was brilliant.
You know what? No, it's the Savoy Hotel.
We're going to have to go back over these shows again.
I have. I listen to them all the time. That makes me sound very narcissistic, doesn't it?
Ladies and gentlemen, she loves the sound of her own voice. No, I was thinking we could cover shows that we have done, but on the bits that we never mentioned. And also, I reckon that if we could put a vote out to people and say, right, what would you like us to research?
Well, there is that, because there were so many topics that we were talking about before we went off air that we never got to cover. Yeah. And how many shows did we do? At the end of the show, we go, we'll have to revisit this because we had so much more, myths, legends, tales, hearsay stories, that we just didn't get time to cover it in the Dark Mirror show. And
Vatican Vaults, that's one of the ones we didn't do.
You know what? I'd love to go and have a look in the Vatican vaults.
So would I.
I don't think they'd let me in,
though. You could turn around and say that you're a ghostwriter for Dan Brown.
I don't think even Dan Brown's been let in there.
Well, Robert Langdon has. He wrecked the library, but, he's been there.
Well, yeah, he did wreck the library. But I love Dan Brown.
I like all his books, I must admit. I've read them all. Angels and Demons was quite a bit different from the book.
He's really great at bringing lots of different concepts together. I can't believe the industry that has built up around those books now. You can go on Dan Brown walks and the Da Vinci Code walks and stuff like that.
My favourite film adaptation of those ones is the Da Vinci Code, because it's when he works out where Mary Magdalene's final resting place is. It's when he works that out. That I loved.
The Louvre.
Yeah.
Louvre?
Yeah. And the actual pyramids were, in fact, the blade and the chalice. Yeah.
The blade and the chalice. Yeah, I have to say the depiction on that was absolutely fascinating in the film. Some of it was good, some of it wasn't quite so good.
Apart from the albino monk.
If
I
you'd
wanted the albino monk.
read the book, I thought the books, but I think the books are better, and I think they get lost in translation. Anyway, we've come right off topic. So
Yes.
we were going to do a show on the Da Vinci Code, weren't we?
Oh God, yeah, we will. Won't we? Well, I reckon you could do a whole show on Da Vinci himself anyway,
Oh, Da Vinci was awesome.
because they think he was Illuminati anyway, don't they?
Well, there's again lots of conspiracy theories and thoughts about Da Vinci.
But there's a lot of secret societies which, when you read about them, they actually started up for good causes but turned into bad causes, or they got a bad name because the church went, no, you can't do that. You're going to be bigger than us. We will make it look like you're devil worshipping.
There is a cat fighting in Mark's background, I would just like to say. Which
No,
is what you can hear.
no. There's a 16-week-old white German Shepherd puppy having a play fight with a 5-year-old Labrador.
Oh, right. That's what you can hear, everybody. It's not anything other than play.
Now, although my missus is sitting next to me, because when we finish, she's going to talk to you and say hey and everything.
Yeah.
It is not her making those weird noises. Is it? It's not you, is it? She slapped me. No, it's not.
Yeah, we heard that.
Yeah.
Occasionally on the Dark Mirror Show, you would always hear a slap, which is Mark's wife slapping him.
She called you my wife.
Yeah.
Ooh.
We'll go with that. Anyway, going back to the Dark Mirror Show. So we also had some amazing guests on as well, didn't we?
There's one guest who particularly stays at the front of my mind, and actually I love him to bits, and we talk sometimes, and that's Mr. Jay Lynch.
Yeah, I know you love Jay.
Yeah, he's my brother from another mother.
He is, but he was one of our presenters on Parasearch for a while and
He's
moved
also
over
a
to
fellow
another
nut
channel.
job.
But apparently he's off air. He's gone off air now for the time being. He's of a different
Is he?
line. Yeah, he's doing a lot of investigating, and he's had other fingers in lots of other pies, so he's had to take a break. But I'm sure he's going to be back on the airwaves soon.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. I know we've still got to do that thing where we go over there and do the thing in the RV.
Oh God, we're still talking about that.
Yep.
It always reminds me of The Walking Dead when you say RV. Paul. The film Paul with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost.
I think that's more like me, Paul. Yeah. Yeah. Paul, the film.
An RV going through America. Well, hopefully we'll get that pulled off at some point in the future. And
try not to pull it off, because I know you'll put it in the nest again.
I was thinking more of, we had Jamie Krashner first appeared on the Dark Mirror Show, didn't she?
She's brilliant anyway.
We talked about miracles in the Bible, didn't we? We were talking about miracles with her. That was the first show we did with Jamie. Right. And I have to say, she took our banter regarding certain things that would come up in that show.
Come up.
Very, very well, didn't she?
Jamie, I mean, she's a friend of mine anyway, but she's she's very, very knowledgeable on religious subjects and religious symbology and stuff. And when you meet her and talk to her, she's so down to earth and got such a dirty sense of humour, same as us. You'd never believe that.
No, she was awesome, and we did a few shows. We've done quite a few shows with Jamie. She's coming back on the Spirit Dimension in a few weeks' time.
Oh, good. You have to invite me on that one.
Yeah, not a chance. That's my show. Sorry, everybody, but that's my show. Oh, dear, bless her. I know. I'm very greedy and selfish about my show. See? Highbrow.
Most things. You're only highbrow because you shaved them off and painted them back on again.
Tattooed, I love you know. Anyway,
oh.
You leave my brows out of this. And we also... We interviewed the guys from GSI.
Yes, they're still doing daft stuff. They were nice guys as well.
They are very nice guys, and the other lot as well. We had sort of like Northern Ireland and Southern, wasn't it? We had like the two areas of Ireland.
It's like having Mrs. Brown's family in the front room.
It was, wasn't it? They were funny as anything.
Yeah. Well, I'm half Irish anyway, so I was in my element. And like I said, the Twafford and Anne would explain a lot, including me.
Well, a lot of those shows are now over on Podbean because they have been archived. The rest of the Dark Mirror shows will be going over there very shortly. So if you want to check out some of the Dark Mirror past shows, go over to Podbean. They're all over there. And so you can check those out. But there will be more...
They're on YouTube as well.
And obviously on YouTube, click like, share and subscribe.
That's right.
So don't forget, if you want to catch up with the old Dark Mirror shows, that's where you will find them now. There's only a few left on the Spreaker app, so you're going to have to find them elsewhere, and the rest will be moved over very shortly. Because when we launch back the Dark Mirror show, oops, I'm throwing my pen around now. When we launch, well, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
When we launch back into the Dark Mirror show, we're going to start off with fresh new topics, but with the same bants that you've always had.
That surprised you, didn't it?
The laugh of it is, when we do the Dark Mirror show, we are always on camera to each other rather than no cameras, which is usually what I insist upon on other shows. And he makes me laugh every single time. There is always antics going on behind the scenes that you don't see.
Yeah, that was a German Shepherd's nose. That was a German Shepherd's nose. That was nothing else. German Shepherd's nose.
You know the ones I really enjoyed?
What's that?
I really enjoyed. You know when we did a little series. We did like planes, trains, and automobiles.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We did like a little run of ghost trains, and the ghost trains one. We never did find a case of an actual real live and kicking ghost train. We had lots of like ghost tunnels, like train tunnels, train stations,
carriages. There was a couple of haunted carriages, but not an actual ghost train.
We couldn't find one case of a true live and kicking ghost train.
Well, if it was a ghost train, it wouldn't be live and kicking, would it, you daft bugger?
Well, obviously, but you know what I mean.
It'd be dead and coughing.
But that's the iconic image of a steam, the old-fashioned steam trains coming at you from the mist, and it's a ghost and stuff like that. No, didn't find any cases of that at all. We couldn't find. We found loads surrounding train stations and tunnels and tracks and stuff like that, but not actually of a train. I'm still trying to find that one. But we came up with some interesting information, like the Necropolis Railway we found out about, didn't we? That was the funeral train that went from London to what cemetery was it?
I don't know, a long time ago. I can't remember.
It's in Kent. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
It was a big one, and it even had a 5th class, I think, didn't it? With straw on the floor.
I don't remember that bit. I remember first and second class.
Yeah, and it had a really, it might have been 3rd class, I don't know, but they had carriages for the really poor people, and it had all straw on the floor.
And you could do a package where you had tea.
Yeah, and you could take the whole family down for a funeral. And it was like, yay, Granny's dead. So
that's a bit bad. That's awful.
Actually, I shouldn't have said that because my nan unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. So
she'll probably be laughing her head off at that comment there, knowing you.
Actually, she was probably laughing her head off awake when she saw all my aunts and uncles getting very, very slowly drunk. That was hilarious.
So, yeah. And then we did the Foo Fighter thing.
That was good.
That was interesting. And you rocked out your Blighty accent.
Jolly hockey sticks. I mean, what are you trying to say there?
With a few yours in there as well, weren't there?
I say, what is that on the end of the wing, cadavers?
Anyway, keep an eye out on the Parasearch Radio group page for further details on when the Dark Mirror show relaunches, only for once a month to start with, until our work schedules ease a little bit more. And on that note, we hope you've enjoyed listening to some of the weird and wacky things that me and Mark got up to on that show, as well as coming back to the banter that we're used to for that. Poor old Paul, he'll be like crying into his soup in Italy, going, "Why? What's she done to my show?"
He'll be lying on a bed, going, "What?" He'll be reclined on a bed, going, "What?"
What's she doing? Oh my God, she took over my show and ruined it. Anyway,
don't worry.
On that note, my lovelies, thank you so much for listening and joining us in the chat room, and we bid you all a very good night.
Thank you very much for listening. Merry Christmas and a big balls.
Oh, you have to finish on a crude, didn't you?
Well, yeah, it's got to be done. I mean, I could have gone aliens, but I thought it'd be different this.
Yeah, this is true. Anyway.
It's just different.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.